The biggest tsunamis in epic history, the ocean can be a beautiful and calm place, however, it can become devastating. Today, we'll show you some historical events where the sea unfolded all its wrath, becoming tsunamis that destroyed complete cities in just a few seconds. Join us in this almost infernal adventure. 2010 Chile earthquake tsunami. We begin this list with one of the worst contemporary tragedies because on February 27, 2010, an almost 4-minute quake reached a scale of 8.8, causing a devastating tsunami. This mortal duo ended the life of 500 people and left 9% of the population homeless. This earthquake was so violent that 53 countries had tsunami alerts. The president at that time, Michelle Bachelet, declared a state of emergency and sent rescue troops to every area of the country. The damage caused by this tragedy cost around $4 to $7 million in material losses. Japan tsunami, Great Yaima tsunami. Continuing our list, we named one of the most affected zones by this kind of catastrophe. We are clearly referring to the land of the rising sun, Japan. This disaster happened on April 24, 1771. Caused by an earthquake that began in a zone actually known as Okinawa at the south of the country. The magnitude of this tsunami affected the Ishigaki and Miyakojima Islands, where almost 12,000 people died, and more than 3,000 were left homeless. Because of how old this event is, the information about it isn't completely correct. There are legends that say that there is an island that disappeared because of the strength of this tsunami, however, this was never confirmed. Nature's fury was so relentless that the population in those lands reduced by 1/3. Also, the agriculture in that zone was extremely damaged because of the high water levels. Mount Unzen, 1792 earthquake and tsunami. A few years after the last tsunami, in 1792, to be exact, another tragedy would hit this Nipa country. That date, a volcano known as Mount Unzen erupted, becoming the most lethal volcanic eruption in the whole of Japanese history. To double its mortality, it also caused a mega tsunami that had waves of 33 and 66 feet in height. It's estimated that 15,000 people lost their lives, with Higo and Shimabara cities being the most affected zones. The volcanic eruption was so strong it made the waves grow up to 187 feet in height. 2011 Tohoku tsunami. This horrible tsunami happened on March 11, 2011. Everything started with a magnitude 9 earthquake whose epicenter was in the Tohoku region, producing giant waves of approximately 33 feet in height. The huge walls destroyed everything in their path and took the lives of 15,000 people. Although Japan is a country that has constant prevention against earthquakes and tsunamis, they never expected a tragedy of this magnitude. The total amount of damage done was around $350 billion. 1896 Sanriku earthquake. On June 15, 1896, on Sanriku's coast, the returning of the soldiers from the First Sino-Japanese War was being celebrated in parallel to a religious festivity. Sadly, the happiness turned into infinite pain when the first wave of the tsunami came to the zone and ended the history of this place. The high tide increased the strength of this calamity and took the lives of 22,000 people, destroying 11,000 homes, especially in the zones of Iwate and Miyagi, with 98-foot waves. A lot of reports say it also affected China's coast, causing the deaths of more than 4,000 people. The number of injured was extremely high, and a lot of them were found with broken bones and, in the worst-case scenario, with mutilated articulations. No doubt this was a tragic day for this oriental country. 1868 Arica earthquake, Chile. At the north of Chile, an 8.5 to 9 magnitude earthquake took place, causing one of the strongest tsunamis of the continent. 50 minutes after this earthquake, colossal waves arrived on the South Peruvian coasts, surpassing a height of 40 feet. However, the second wave was majestic because it surpassed 52 feet, destroying the city of Arica. It destroyed 3 anchored boats in the port, which weighed more than 1,500 tons, and the wrecks ended up about 2,600 feet deep into the ground. This tsunami didn't only affect the American continent, as it also caused damages in Hawaii and New Zealand. This tragedy caused the death of 25,000 people. 1883 Krakatoa volcano. In what's now known as Indonesia, one of the biggest disasters took place in August 1883, where multiple eruptions of the Krakatoa volcano caused a powerful tsunami that ended the lives of 36,000 people. A lot of reports say that this tragedy destroyed the city of Merak, burying it under 151-foot-tall waves. It also destroyed the whole of Sebesi Island's population, which was the closest island to the volcano. No survivor was found. This tragedy was so strong that the air waves caused by the volcano's eruption were detected many days later. The combination of both cataclysms showed the power of nature. 1755 Lisbon earthquake tsunami. This event, also known as the Great Lisbon Earthquake, occurred in 1755 and reached a magnitude of 8.5 to 9, which brought one of the most devastating tsunamis ever witnessed by humans. The tragedy, as its name indicates, took place in Lisbon. However, it also affected a big portion of Spain. It left a significant quantity of victims because it's estimated that this cataclysm had between 60,000 and 100,000 victims. It was so powerful that there were registered waves of 66 feet in height at the north of Africa. Obviously, the damage caused by this earthquake and the tsunamis was unimaginable and countless at its moment, but in 2009 it was estimated that the cost of this catastrophe was between 32 and 45% of its gross domestic product. 1908 Messina earthquake tsunami. This tragedy is historically not only known as one of the most lethal events in Italy but in the world. It was on December 28, 1908, when a 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit the Italian lands for almost a minute. Because of its strength, many inhabitants, especially from Messina, looked for refuge on the coast of the city to get away from the destruction of their houses. However, the place they thought would be the safest would make them live one of the most horrible moments in their lives because the catastrophe didn't end there. Because of this earthquake, a giant tsunami arrived at the coasts of the Strait of Messina, where waves of 39 feet in height were reported. It was said that the port was filled with dead bodies because of this event. The city is now known as Città di Morte, which means City of Death. There are records that confirm that the affected zones were the eastern coast of Sicily and also the coasts of Reggio Calabria. Because of how old this event is, the exact number of deaths is unknown. However, it's estimated that around 120,000 people lost their lives that day, and the damages were estimated at $116 million at that time. 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake tsunami. In epic history, we find the most devastating tsunami. It happened on December 26, 2004, when a giant earthquake of 9.1 magnitude released a series of tsunamis on all the coasts of the Indian Ocean. The waves reached a height of 100 feet and affected 14 different countries. It was so strong that high tides were registered all over the world. This is the disaster that possesses the highest number of deaths because it's estimated to be around 230,000 people. Also, the damages were estimated at $19.7 billion. Don't miss any of our videos. See you soon.